Well, what a Saturday. Let's go with the latest news. About Diomandé, although the news was first reported by David Ornstein, who deserves all the credit here for this and many other things. And now we're talking about the information from this English journalist about Vinicius and Arsenal, but the latest on Diomande is being reported here. Fabrizio Romano, I repeat, the credit belongs to the Athletics journalist, not Fabrizio, who's a bit late on this. Still, it's among the latest updates in the past few hours. That Madrid has reached a verbal agreement on personal terms with Jean Diomandé, and apparently there was also a good understanding with Paris Saint-Germain, so that doesn't mean anything. It's important, but it doesn't mean anything. For now, this watch out could speed up in the next few hours. I heard Ramon a while ago on a live stream. Which will happen first, Rodri's or Diomande's? He says that if anything, it will be the Ivorian player's situation first. Just like Paris Saint-Germain did in June with these agreements they reached with the player, Real Madrid has the green light from the player on these terms. Real is preparing to return with a new offer to Leipzig after the 90 million euros plus 10 million was rejected. PSG is in contact again today to try until the end. Madrid and Paris Saint-Germain are locked in two transfer battles. They were already involved in the Mastantuono deal, now Diomande and Rodri. And now we're talking about Rodri. I'm going to remind you about what I'm going to talk about at the end. It's not related to this, but I found it really funny what this scoundrel Cristóbal Soria did in Argentina. He drags us Madrid fans into it. I mean, as always, with his messages spreading hate, right? He blames us for this, well, for this worldwide animosity, by the way, because all those people who were happy that Argentina lost in the World Cup final, I don't think it was because of Real Madrid, but this guy goes and says it, right? No, it's because of Real Madrid in Spain, right? The Real from Madrid, like this Hick says. And well, now we're showing it because later he ended up fighting with, I mean, being there in Argentina just because he calls Messi his holiness and all that, and he ends up fighting with another TV channel. We'll get to that soon. Let's focus on the most important thing. This nonsense will be at the end of the video, but I wanted to remind you so those of you who like the drama don't leave. As I said, David Ornstein on Vinicius, he says this: Arsenal is exploring a move to sign Vinicius Jr. from Real Madrid. That the interest is at an early stage and that the clubs are not in talks yet, but the idea is approved at all levels. At the English club, the idea of signing him, they've sensed a bit of blood with no contract extension, and now on top of that, Madrid wants Diomande. We'll talk about that now because, by the way, Diomande and Vinicius share the same agency, and this is Rockstar or whatever it's called. And of course, there's a strange movement there. It could naturally be connected because, well, Vinicius might have something to do with it. I mean, maybe they're sending him a message, right? Although, watch out, for me, Diomande, as we mentioned in the previous video, is a guy who, and in fact, we've seen it at the World Cup with Ivory Coast, plays on the right, but he can also play on the left. In that sense, he's very complete. Hey, 19 years old. It's a similar move to what they did with Vinicius, who came at 18. They did contact Vinicius earlier, though. He was signed, but he couldn't come because he wasn't of age, and he came later. But here they're signing for the future. I've already heard some people say, hey, for one good season, a guy who's going to cost more than 100 million, who's 19 years old, is it risky? Well, it's risky. We talked about it in the previous video, but like at least it's impossible given this situation where Vinicius isn't renewing with Real Madrid, and we can't afford the luxury of letting this kid, Vinicius, as much as we love him, leave for free next year. Look, kid, guys, look, in England, as I said, they're aware of that, and according to what the English journalist says here, a lot depends on the contract process, since there hasn't been any progress yet with Real Madrid, and Real Madrid doesn't want him to leave for free. And well, keep this in mind. The idea has been approved at all levels by Arsenal, so they would seriously go after Vinicius. What price would you put on him? I know that many of you get a rash just hearing about Vinicius leaving or about Madrid putting him up for sale, but it's a scenario that's very possible. Let's set feelings aside. I don't want Vinicius to leave Real Madrid. I think Vinicius still has a lot of football left in him. He's been a bit distracted in recent years, mainly because of the people managing him and all that. But I think Vinicius can get back to his best football with Real Madrid. Even when he's not at his best, it's not that bad either, because Vinicius's numbers have actually been good. We remember Vinicius from 2022, and even in 2023, a tough season, he was still the team's best. And of course, in 2024. So, hey, he's been the one who's performed the best at Real Madrid in recent times, right? But, well, we've also seen that a lot is expected from him, especially regarding his contract renewal. He's demanding so much money that Madrid won't pay. What a guy. Yeah. Look, a club like Real Madrid, I insist, can't afford to let Vinicius leave for free. That's the thing. How much would Real Madrid sell him for? Man, look, earlier I was hearing things like, no, for 60 or 70, just because next year he could be a free agent in 6 months. Come on, don't mess with me. I mean, seriously, with Vinicius, with the amount of average players being sold, being moved around for more than 100 million, what are we even talking about? I mean, Vinicius starts at 100, of course, even if his contract ends next year. Hey, Arsenal, do you want him, man? He's a guy, mind you, who wins European Cup finals, something Arsenal hasn't been able to do. Well, they've never won it. They've never won it. This year they made it to the final and they didn't have a Vinicius there to score a goal in the final. It's just a way of speaking. I mean, football isn't math, right? Just because they sign Vinicius doesn't mean they'll reach the finals and win. But Vinicius has already done it. So what? Do you want this guy, damn it? Do you have extra money? Well, then, more than 100, you have to play hardball with Madrid on this. But of course, Arsenal is going to play a bit with Real Madrid's need to make sure this guy doesn't leave for free. And well, that's the latest update on the Vinicius Arsenal situation. Well, something that came up on a super Saturday, an incredible Saturday in terms of information. And then there's also the matter of Rodri and Paris Saint-Germain. This is confirmed by Anderson Rubia. Let's see. Of course, Real Madrid got involved with Diomandé, and now Paris Saint-Germain is involved with Rodri. But I think there's no problem here. There's nothing to worry about, at least for those of us who want Rodri to come to Madrid. There are others who don't want Rodri to come, and they'll be happy, right? But I think nothing's going on here. As far as I know, and everything makes sense to me, everything is agreed between the player and the club. They still need to agree with Manchester City on the fee, which will be above 60 for sure, but it shouldn't reach 90 or 100. That would be crazy. Hey, yes, also Rodri, Ballon d'Or, World Cup Golden Ball, by the way. World champion, a player who's absolutely recovered physically. And yes, since spring, his price has gone up. But damn, his contract ends next year. He's going to turn 30. I mean, what are they thinking? And above all, the player has given everything for Manchester City and has won everything with them. I don't think they'll give him much trouble. It would be messed up to make it hard for him to leave. Now, football leaves no room for sentiment. They'll say, well, yeah, sure, but we want money for our best player, one of our best footballers. But yes, I think there could be a middle ground there that Madrid considers profitable. But I insist, no matter how much Paris Saint-Germain offers, as Andres Sonrubia says, the offer is going to be huge and the cost doesn't matter. Of course, Manchester City comes into play there. Damn, I've got someone here that's paying me more than 100. That'll be tough since they could cause us some problems on the club side. But with Rodri, do you think Rodri, who wants to leave Manchester because of the rain, wants to return to Madrid? To Madrid. Let me say this. He's been an Atleti fan since childhood and played for Atleti. Honestly, I don't care. Look at Cucurella. He trained at Barca's academy, came here, and is now the world's best left back. Welcome, the world's best defensive midfielder. If he joins Madrid, he'll become a Madrid fan in minutes, just like Figo. Figo was at Madrid for a few months when asked if he was a fan, and he replied, I'm Portuguese. That was fine. He came, and hey, we won a league with him, and 2 leagues with him, and a Champions League, and the Intercontinental Cup, and all that. And fantastic. Wonderful. Well, anyway, but Rodri, after leaving Manchester, I mean, if he wants to leave Manchester, is he going to go to Paris? Come on to Paris. Paris is very beautiful. It's nice at first, but Rodri wants to be in Madrid. But the thing is, if Paris Saint-Germain can offer something crazy, then things could get complicated. Especially since Paris Saint-Germain, though we're friendly with them now, at least for June. And Nasser Al-Khelaifi, who used to hate him, the Qatari president of Paris Saint-Germain, hated the president of Real Madrid. Now they're friends. Even though, of course, we took Mastantuono from them. And by the way, they can't be too upset that we took Mastantuono from them last year. They really shouldn't be, that's for sure. But we got involved in that deal. Or rather, they got involved. Madrid started with the whole Mascherano-Mastantuono thing. Madrid, when they saw that Paris Saint-Germain had it wrapped up, said, wait, and jumped back in. Now, they've noticed our involvement with Diomande and suggest looking into Rodri, saying he'd be great for Luis Enrique. If you give Luis Enrique a midfielder, don't make him play centre-back again. They even say Barça is getting involved too. I don't think Barça can get involved in Rodri's situation, but hey, just to stir things up. Now, for Barca's style of play, of course, he would be fantastic. But they already have people for that. De Jong got injured, that's true, at Barca. It's for one match. It's months, not for years, right? For the players' sake, of course. And maybe they can try, but damn, Barca is already... Look, Adeyemi, Gordon, now we're talking about Gordon, by the way. I mean, they can spend more. Of course, if they want to, they can do it. The money is endless for them, even if they go into debt and even if the league gives them all the help. But anyway, I don't think so. I don't think in this case. It really makes me laugh. It really makes me laugh what David Bernabeu says here, which must be true, about Diomande and Barça. Pay attention, because this is priceless. They chose Gordon. Look.
Well, look, Leipzig is interested in making probably the biggest sale in their history, which right now is at 70 million. Well, I think they're going to try to sell Diomande. I don't know if they'll manage to get 90 or 100 million for him. Barça, this profile was offered to Barça, and they ended up dismissing the option because Flick, in a good way, was very stubborn about Gordon. He wanted Anthony Gordon. And for 70 plus 10, as you know, Gordon was signed.
He makes a face like, oh. Well, let's see how Gordon turns out. Against Mexico, Gordon in the World Cup with England was the best, except for that penalty. I mean, for me, Gordon seems like a good player. Now, I don't think he's some kind of world beater. Not even close. He just seems like a good player to me. From what I've seen of both, and also considering the age and all that, I think the Ivorian is much better. But, this is football. Some time ago, one seemed better than the other to us. We thought the players we were going to sign were better than Barca's, and then things turned out, well, as they did. But in this case, it says here, the faces, David, the faces. Well, we'll see. In the end, time is what proves you right or wrong. But, well, it's likely, right, that now Barca wouldn't have been able to pay 100 million for Diomande. They were able to pay 70 plus 10 million for Gordon, which they say is actually more, by the way, when it comes to commissions and so on. But what amazed me is this. Jabali Alvarez said this on May 1st on El Chiringuito. Pay attention to the names. Pay attention to the names that Barca wanted. He mentioned Diomande, Bernardo Silva, Dumfries, and Cucurella.
Well, people at FC Barcelona keep telling me that they're going to make several signings to strengthen the squad, and they really emphasize the left wing, aside from the striker, which we already know Barca wants Julian. All right. They mention a specific player profile, a player who can beat defenders off the dribble. They gave me a name. Wait, names? But I sent Simon Diomande. Diomande, man. Damn.
Yeah, Andy Diomande, the player from Red Bull Leipzig, who was actually at Leganés last year. They paid 20 million euros for him for his signing, and he's having an excellent season at Red Bull Leipzig. He's a top left wing prospect despite being right-footed and dribbling.
Speed. As for Bernardo Silva, we've already talked about him. It's true that he has a lot of offers. Barca, well.
So that's it. Bernardo Silva, Dumfries, and Cucurella. I won't play the whole thing for you because now we have Soria who talks for a while. Wonderful, wonderful. So they're all going to be Real Madrid players. Well, out of these four, 3 are already Real Madrid players, and Diomande's deal could be closed in the next few hours. We'll do Soria's part, then we're done. The interview on an Argentine TV channel. I'm going to play this for you very quickly, guys, because the World Cup music is there, and I don't want them to mess up my video, okay? But really quickly, really quickly. So slow it down a bit if you're playing me at a fast speed, which I do with all YouTube videos to get through them faster. Pardon the redundancy and sorry for repeating myself. Here, just slow it down a bit, okay? This is what Soria was saying, especially because it lasts a little while.
You're encouraging something that doesn't happen on the field. As the Argentine team walks, the Spanish team forms a guard of honor, greeting them with hugs, kisses, and affection. I don't understand why the Spanish media create conflict between Spain and Argentina, especially when they try to exclude Argentina, even if you stay focused despite the teasing. If you've played soccer and lose a final, you might fight out of frustration, especially if others tease you. Soccer players will understand.
But we've already discussed this topic several times. You keep mentioning Spain, but it's not Spain. We've always known it's the fans and journalists who support Real Madrid who've tried to stir things up before, during, and after the match. Only them. In fact, we're trying to turn all of this into something about Spain. No, look, Spain, no, of course, but it's just that Real Madrid, wait, which Real Madrid?
I don't think it's acceptable for there to be violent reactions. It's not acceptable for there to be no fair play. It's not acceptable for there to be out-of-place reactions once the match is over. Now, on the other hand, it is clear and it is obvious that, as you say, there are journalists, there are groups of fans, and there are sectors on social media who have stirred up this situation beforehand, who have said,
well, there's been a bit of everything. Here, this shameless guy, besides calling Madrid Real de Madrid, well, we already know how ignorant he is and how. An absolutely disgraceful character, the one who bullied Vinicius when he was 18, well, before he even turned 18, since Vinicius was in Brazil, right? You're going to see now how he defends El Chiringuito when someone tells him the truth to his face, right? And of course, he says this, right? And you say, excuse me, to the lady in Chile, well, to the lady, just to give an example, right? To the number of people in Chile I've seen jumping like crazy as if the final goal wasn't scored by Spain, but by Chile, to the Brazilians, to half the world, damn. I've seen half the world. You've all seen it in the videos. people celebrating Argentina's loss more than Spain's win, right? Spain was just there, so we chose Spain. If it had been Portugal, don't even get me started. Look, this all started, we've been talking about it here in these videos because of a matter of, earlier someone wrote to me and said, Miguel Serrano, I liked what you said about, it's not all Argentinians, but it's not just a few either. Actually, it's been a lot. Sorry, it's been a lot, and that's just how it is. And as I always tell you, I have Argentinian family, friends, you know, but there have been a lot. Damn, so someone replies here with, sorry, besides seeing the what's his name? Alcarocha, this guy saying everything he said, there's one here, really good. Wait, the other one, this one. Look, we hadn't seen this one. In the video, which I recommend you watch, it's already famous. It's going to reach 700,000 views. The book, I wish it were a book, the video of the karma of the idiots, right? Not Dabo, because Dabo was restrained, but the one that's coming up now. Look. From Al Chalobano.
Spain knows what's going to happen to them in the World Cup. The same thing that's happened to them in the last World Cups. They come in thinking they're the best team in history, and they lose in a pathetic way. And they come in full of themselves, but they're nothing, as if we're going to be scared of them.
How many of these have there been? A new one appears daily. For my next video, I'll feature the dumbest yet. This one's sure to make you laugh, but I'll save it for the next video to keep this one short.
For us, a match against this lame Spanish national team that has nothing.
Let's go. It's hard to believe. Anyway, many of the people here were in my previous video too. So you mean, sorry, have Real Madrid fans influenced this by saying something about Argentina? Or is it really everything they've been posting on social media? And not just random people on YouTube and so on, but journalists too. What former coaches and famous Argentinians like this La Volpe guy have been saying as well. That has had more influence, right? Of course. Cristóbal Soria goes to stir things up in Argentina to get Real Madrid fans and journalists involved, right? But wait, he's convinced that over there, well, in Argentina, they're happy with the message he's bringing, then they tell him this. Watch out, they're messing with the little guy, and of course, that's not going to fly. Cristóbal Soria won't let that happen.
Sorry, but the same show has actually done a disservice by fueling xenophobia or hatred towards Argentinians. El Chiringuito, has said outrageous things about the Argentina national team. They've called the team arrogant. Sorry.
Sorry.
There is no xenophobia or racism on El Chiringuito.
Damn, you don't have to go that far back. The famous phrase by Pedro Bravo, this pathetic character who has also kept going to the Chiringuito while being absolutely xenophobic, more xenophobic than racist. Xenophobic towards Vinicius with that famous phrase telling him to go to Brazil, to dance in Brazil, and that he should leave Spain and go back to Brazil to dance, right? That phrase about acting like a monkey was explained then. It's just a Spanish expression. But instead of apologizing, instead of correcting it, instead of giving that man a reprimand on the show, they kept bringing him on. He's still one of the regulars. And well, of course, hey, whoever does things like that has to face the consequences later. People will indeed see you as a show where that has happened. Xenophobia has been spread.
I guess.
He said xenophobia. He said it clearly, xenophobia. So about xenophobia and racism, well...
He didn't say racism. Racism is being made up by Cristóbal Soria, the Christian one.
Literally for well,
The little one speaks.
About soccer.
No, 3 minutes. Okay.
Here, Soria's voice fades out and then comes back. Watch out for Messi at the bar.
I asked you to reconnect because I thought it was unfair, since it was cutting out and we couldn't hear you. Oh, I don't know if I still have you. I think it got cut off. Can you hear me well? Can you hear me? Let's see.
Now, what's unbelievable is that they make this guy, this person, the representative of Spain. It's just unbelievable, really. Anyway.
Can you hear me?
You can hear me fine. I hear you perfectly.
All that's left is for you to say, me can be heard, or something like that.
Let's see. Go ahead. Can you hear me well? We hear you fine. I hear you. You can say whatever you want. Go ahead.
Perfectamente.
No. Hello?
Let's see. Wait.
There goes the connection. Let's try one more time.
I'm not going to do it for that person. Otherwise, I have nothing more to say to you.
I'm not going to do it. I don't know if you want to, Martin. If you want, I'll repeat it for you and I'll tell you what it is.
You say it's part of xenophobia. No.
But for Martin, it's difficult. Let me say it. Presenting xenophobia with xenophobia. I'm not mad at anyone. Xenophobia is the rejection of foreigners. I feel like it does a disservice to Argentinians who are in Spain, some of whom have been victims of violence, that Joseph from El Chiringuito is always saying that we're arrogant, that we steal goals, that we made a pathetic showing. What I said is exactly as stated. If you, Cristobal, want to see it differently, that's fine. But that's what I said, and I repeated it 3 times on the show. Perfect.
You were caught by your own words.
Artist.
I wrote, I let him speak. I have absolutely nothing to talk about with you, nor with a show that allows you to sit there and talk about xenophobia, about Chiringuito, and about Spaniards. So thank you very much.
I just wanted to tell you.
It's just unbelievable. The other guy, I didn't watch El Chiringuito, so I don't know what Josep Pedrero said about Pedrero or Argentinians, but damn, he's saying something clear. Hey, on a show where xenophobia has been encouraged through the comments, I don't know if it was serious enough to call it that, but through the host's comments, he goes and says, no, I don't want him to talk about racism or xenophobia, the xenophobia of Spaniards. And he says, no, not the Spanish, the host, and the other guy just keeps insisting. The typical person who acts like a wall, it's like arguing with a brick wall. And well, people are polite to him, and this guy also wants the show to kick that guy out of there. He hasn't said anything that would make him unworthy of sitting on an Argentine TV show and saying whatever he wants. You see that the guy, well, I don't need to convince you of anything, but this guy, Cristóbal Soria, is absolutely pathetic. It's unbelievable that this guy still has a job at Telemundo. He goes to Telemundo to talk. I don't know if they even understand him when he speaks, but he goes to Telemundo to talk there, to say nonsense. Now, in the United States, I saw when I was there the amount of nonsense he was saying. I mean, as a World Cup analyst. But the roundest thing this guy has ever seen is, I don't know, like an orange. I mean, seriously, it's unbelievable. But I think he's also going to those morning political shows. That cracks me up.
The Argentine pressure, and I have absolutely nothing to talk about with this gentleman or with this show.
All right, we're sending you a big hug. I'm just clarifying. That's it. I'm just clarifying that here, everyone speaks for themselves.
And he left.
Of all the panelists.
It's just that they haven't disrespected him at any point. I mean, he said, hey, I think your show is this or that. Well, man, then argue and defend your show, but not with expressions like that. I have absolutely nothing to talk about with you. No, defend it with arguments. And if you don't have any, it's because you don't have a point. And that's it. Well, I hope everything goes well for you. Give it a like if you enjoyed this video. Please subscribe to the channel, comment, share. See you in the next one. Hype it up, please. It really helps. And, well, have a nice Sunday, right? Because you'll be watching me on Saturday night, already heading into Sunday. Wait a second. In America, we're in YouTube primetime right now, so it's Saturday night for you. Well, enjoy in any case. Bye.